Call meeting order, pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kevin?
Here.
Nicole?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
Bob?
Here.
Rob?
Comments from the visitors and public?
I would like to request that the website be updated and made more useful for the citizens of McMillan. The most recent town minutes are from July 8th, 2019. The most recent newsletters from the spring of 2017. And the Planning Commission minutes and agenda are from July 22nd, 2019. Resources could be posted to the website, for instance, ordinances for subdivisions or checklists for subdivisions. I believe the Brickyard developer was at the last Planning Commission meeting and was told he needed to do a subdivision checklist that he was unaware existed. The comp plan could and should also be posted to the website. In case people couldn't make it to the meetings in person, they could review the documents and see if they wanted to come and make public comment at the next one. A calendar could also be maintained showing meetings, events, etc. This could be done immediately by using public Google calendars, and postings to the website or postings on the internet could be made immediately available via Google Drive as well. The current website is not mobile friendly. However, approximately 50% of today's web traffic in the U.S. is derived from mobile devices. Posting meeting notices online will also help ensure McMillan's meeting the open meetings law. Wisconsin Open Meetings Law states in section 19.81, section 4, that open meetings law shall be liberally construed to achieve the processes set forth in this section. And the main purpose is to enable the public to have the fullest and most complete information regarding the affairs of the government. In March 2020, the Wisconsin legislature amended the open meetings law to require one of the specific public notice methods. Method 1 is posting in at least 3 public places, likely to give notice to the persons affected. Number 2 is posting in at least 1 public place and placing a notice electronically on the governmental body internet site, likely to give notice to persons affected. And number 3 is by paid publication in a news media. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Kevin Splood, and I spoke to, I think, everybody on the board regarding, I'd like the board to consider taking the Second Amendment sanctuary resolution for the town of McMillan. The reason I feel that we need to do this is in our current political situation in both Washington, D.C. and in Madison gives me no confidence that our constitutional rights are being protected by the higher levels of government. Higher in quotes. And I feel that at the local level we can still have an effect, and I think a grassroots level for anything of this effort, or any effort of this kind is best done at a local level. I think that the town board can pass this, and that maybe the county board will take notice, and then maybe the state legislature will take notice, and maybe the federal government will start taking notice that we here in McMillan take our constitutional rights very seriously. And while I believe they all deserve protection, I think the Second Amendment is probably the most important, because once we lose that one, the rest of them are gone, period. I don't think the Second Amendment is meant for hunting or collecting. I think it gave the citizens the right to rise up against their government. Not that I'm calling for an uprising, but I just do believe that we do have to protect our rights, and I think it's very important that it starts at a local level, and then we can take it from there. So I guess that's basically my point. Thank you.
George?
Yeah, I just wanted to ask, did you guys get the pavilion insulated yet?
Nope. I'll answer that one. It will be done soon. As soon as this weather changes, I'm not going up there on 80-degree days, George.
I'm sorry, I didn't understand what you said. It sounded like you guys
Yeah.
had the 5-gallon bucket.
It'll be done soon, George, as soon as this weather breaks. I'm not going up in a hot attic when it's 80 degrees outside. When it gets,
Toughen you up. You gotta go for the
that
units, man.
might do that, but it might do something else too.
Okay, I'm just curious.
But it is, I mean, it is. And Kevin and I have talked about it. We figured that the end of September would be a good time to do this. It should break by that time.
I didn't hear nothing about it. I just wanted to
Yep,
make sure
we
that was
talked
still on the
to,
agenda.
we talked to Jerry. Jerry Haas is donating insulation and the blower, and I will donate my time. And if Kevin can't help me, I'll find somebody else to help me out to feed the hopper.
I'd offer to help you, but I'm too old.
I don't think so.
Oh, yes, I am. Oh, yes, I
Got a
am.
mask.
Watch me on a ladder sometime. You
No,
know,
you're
hey,
right on the ground, right on the ground.
Just gotta feed the machine.
The other thing I wanted to ask about is the fireworks on Saturday night, how loud they were. Is there a reason for that? We live about a mile away as the crow flies, and my wife said she could feel the porch shake on her feet.
You could actually feel the vibration when that was booming, which we've never had that before.
And there was the only one, we could see them from our porch. And the only thing that really jumped out at me was there'd be one hell of a big loud boom, and there was no fireworks. So basically, what it sounded like was they were setting off a loud boom with no color involved. And and especially with the touchy subject it is, especially with Dorothy Olson, with her horses and dogs and stuff. That makes no sense, and I guess there is such a thing as quiet fireworks. Now, to me, it would make a hell of a lot more sense to go quiet fireworks, because people are there to see the color. They don't give a shit about the boom. So, that's all I got to say. Thanks.
I believe they are referred to as
Got to talk
salutes.
louder, Ron.
I believe they are referred to as salutes, and Ernie did not put up any salutes. Those are the ones that just go up and make the big bang. And for people that understand science, which I believe you do too, George, that the speed of light and the speed of sound are different. So when you are that far away, the sound and the light will not be hitting you at the same time.
Wait a minute, now you're implying that I'm a moron, that I can't tell the difference? Come on.
No, I'm not. I'm saying that with science, and I said I understand that you do understand science, right?
In other words, we heard the boom before we seen the light.
Yes.
That's all it amounts to.
But if there was a boom and there was no light, that's what I'm saying.
And there was.
Now, I might be a moron, but my wife is not. So believe me when I tell you this.
Let's move on.
Hey, this guy wants to ask you.
What about having the fireworks on the other side of the baseball field? Then. You
There's
go
that
further.
road back there.
Pardon me?
They do have a road back there.
Yeah, that'd be a good place for it.
Absolutely.
If we place it back there, we'll have to find another location for parking then. too.
Okay.
So, I mean, because it has been thought about doing it back there.
I think that'd be a good way to show how the township is working for the people, but, if they did that back there.
We'll look into it.
Okay.
I don't think you like to hear that.
Yes.
Can I say a few words?
Yes.
Good evening. My name is Tom Seibert. It's good to see so many people at a town meeting. I am a supervisor for the town today and also for Marathon County, one of your county supervisors. And we don't get anybody at our meetings, so it's good to see everybody here. On the county level, the county just voted no on that big vote they had on diversity. It was a tie, it was 18-18, but one of our reps voted wrong, so it would have won by 2 votes. And their last proposal was an understandable proposal, but if you would have seen the first 2 proposals, it basically said that if it wasn't for white privilege, the white person wouldn't have what he has today. The only reason they have that is because they're white. And so be aware that if that comes back up, call Kurt Gibbs and let Kurt Gibbs know how everybody feels. Because it's just something that our Diversity Affairs Committee is one-sided. So, and then pay attention to the LBGQ community, because all of a sudden they've added a plus on the back of this, and nobody can tell you what the plus stands for. Some are saying pedophile, some are saying this, some are saying that, but nobody will tell you what the plus stands for on the back of this. So, that's just what I am. The county spent way too much time on these two issues, way too much time, way too much money. So, thank you.
Yeah, I got,
So when Chris was here, he had talked about the Second Amendment resolution and that the county was holding off doing anything with that until the results of this. So do you have any information?
No,
where the county's-
at my level, if you're not on that committee, you won't hear about it until it comes to the county board. And I haven't heard any, when that was brought up, I thought, boy, what a great idea. I haven't heard anything about that.
Well, when Chris Dixon was here that night, I talked with him about it. And he said that it was in progress, but it was on hold pending what you just mentioned, that was voted down. So they did not want to present the Second Amendment resolution for the county to be countywide until that was behind us.
Until that was behind us, so that's
Yes.
behind us now, so maybe it'll make it out of committee and make it to the full county board. You know, when it comes to controlling the county board, there's about an 18 vote that comes out of that Wausau area. Weston, Schofield, DC, Everest, that whole metropolitan area has half the votes. So if anybody from one side swings one way, you can get something passed, but that's a great idea. When it comes up, it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Is that county resolution, is that a Second Amendment, or is it a constitutional?
I don't know a lot about at the county level. It hasn't made it out of their committee yet.
Okay, from what I understood, it was a constitutional, but yeah, and that's why I heard the same thing you're telling us, is that nothing's gonna get done until they get this community for all resolution done one way or the other.
Right, and hopefully this is done, and boy, if they bring it back, call Kurt Gibbs, get on the phone, and you can find his phone number online, call him up and say, hey, I'm against it.
Does everybody bring any evidence of racism and all the racial
Well,
crimes
I mean,
happening?
I made the point that I know several gay people and several black people, and I asked them. And none of them said that, boy, we're really prejudiced against and this and that and this, but when they walk on the streets, you know that, but, they don't have the colored hair, everything flamboyant and stuff like that, so.
I have a question for you.
Okay.
With the Second Amendment that Bob was talking about, would it help if the townships all had it set in their township, that they voted on it one way or the other?
Definitely. I mean,
It would definitely help
the
the
town of
township.
McMillan would have people sign it.
Uh-huh.
I mean, you pass it and pass it on to the county board, pass it on to Kurt Gibbs. Get it to him personally and put some pressure on that executive committee. The county board is a committee-run board. It has to come out of the committee, and then it goes to the executive committee. And the executive committee is the chair people off of each committee. And then it's gotta get out of there before it comes to the county board.
Right.
So there's actually 3 steps to get that to the county board, so.
But the township's helping this along with.
That would definitely help, It's almost like at the state level, when we want something, the county will send something to the state level. Just to give a little push saying Marathon County's in favor, and if you push saying McMillan's in favor, it would be
Helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
Didn't Emmett just pass a similar resolution?
Pardon?
Didn't Emmett just?
I don't know.
That's why I heard
Yeah,
Emmett just passed
yeah.
it similarly.
And I think once the townships start this, I think it'll be it'll snowball.
Yeah, I think you're right.
It'll snowball, so, good idea.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tom? Could you have that all put into the record review so we can all see what exactly this pertains in it?
Like,
What it actually means?
what means?
What it means to be a solid gun thing. Put it in the record review, because a lot of people get it. That way we see both sides of it.
Okay.
Thank you.
I'll have to ask the publisher.
I'm sure the record review will do it.
You know, he,
Pretty
so,
political.
I don't know if he handles this, does he cover McMillan? The record review? I don't think he covers McMillan.
A lot of us get it.
Because I asked him, a while ago to carry something, and he said, this isn't his area.
I get
You
it.
know, well, I get it too, I'll tell him that.
It's more informative
I'll tell
than
him
News
that.
Herald.
It is, that's true. Oh, he's here. No. You look like the guy from the record review. Could be a twin.
I have to talk to my folks. My name is Tom Vanderboom, and evidently there's another one of us around. I just want to talk for a minute about Man Road between E and the top of the hill, going west. There used to be a double yellow line on that, and it's disappeared. It's on the new portion where the asphalt, there's the double yellow line, but it goes 15 feet west and stops. And recently, 3 times for me, once on my bike, there are people passing on that section both ways. There'll be passing cars going the same way. So I just thank you for the opportunity. I didn't know this, but I think it's dangerous, and a little bit of paint could possibly save an accident sometime soon.
Is there anyone else? Okay, we'll move along then. Approval of the town board minutes.
Make motion to approve August 9th, 2021, town board minutes as presented.
I have a motion and a second to approve August 9th minutes. Any discussion? Since there's no discussion, let's vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. Ayes have it. Reports, Dorothy.
Okay, August 23rd, the Plan Commission met. We approved the Board of Adjustment with a conditional use permit for 203-500 Sunset Meadow. That's one group. The county representatives were here. They discussed the comprehensive plan. They explained farmland preservation. They were open to any questions anybody had. Pretty informative. We discussed the Brickyard subdivision. We tabled it to our next meeting because we didn't have the information yet that we needed, and we didn't have the checklist or anything to hand out to the gentleman that represented them. So, on August 31st, we met again. That was specifically for the Brickyard subdivision preliminary plat. We approved that with the final discussion to be okayed by the DNR, which had passed. David Becker reported from the county level that they had the public hearing at the ERC. It was approved, no complaints. It's been passed by the Plan Commission for the preliminary plat review.
Garbage and recycling?
Couple of things. The Northwest Recycling Board meeting is on Wednesday of next week. I'll be attending that. Topic has been brought forward. It's on the new business about recycling bins. I did contact Dale Marth at Advanced Disposal regarding that. Couple of options there. We have some residents that haven't paid their bill for that. It's a lot cheaper if we administer the extra recycle bin through the township.
$1.25 a month versus $10 a month. So I think it's a communication issue for the most part. I think we just need to get those people that have the bins, make sure that they understand that it's not part of their tax bill, that it is a separate bill and it needs to be paid separately. Otherwise, we'll have to take the route of having advanced disposal administer it, and then the cost will be $10 a month versus $1.25 a month. So, that's all I had.
Library, well,
The library was closed on the 11th and 12th due to an upgrade to its system. I have not looked to see if it was open yet today or not, so if you are interested in going to the library tomorrow in Marshfield, please look at their website or call to ensure that they're open. They've been working on their policies when I've been going to their board meetings. Their next board meeting is this Thursday at 4:30 p.m. We did get our bill for what we owe to the library, which we can talk about when we're approving checks. And I started working with a new contact at Marathon County regarding how much we would owe to the library in Wausau if we belong to the Wausau Library. I have not gotten a dollar amount for what we would owe in that case. She has told me by the end of next week she will give me a dollar amount. That is all I have.
Can I ask you a question? Nicole, from what you know about it, we're not going back to the Wausau thing, right?
No, but it's part of the contract with how much we would owe the library.
Okay.
So that's why I need those numbers.
buildings and grounds, Kevin?
Tom and I are figuring a timeout for the installation. We need to call Mr. Steamy to get the gas line hooked up and his run to the building. We need to get the slab either put back in place or just pour a new one in there. And we'll discuss the one thing when we get down to the business.
We'll probably end up having to pour that with the way that the other one came out. I don't think it's going back in. Highway, Tom?
August was another wet one. We had multiple culverts again, and thank you for the residents that would call and make us aware that there were culverts that were starting to wash out. As far as I know, we got back and repacked probably 6 culverts this month from washout. If you see any, please give a phone call, let us know about it. We do travel the roads, but I guess sometimes we just pass them and don't see them. So there are some out there that people have called about and let us know. Thank you. Stockbridge, they came on the 7th and started that again. I got out the weekend before and tried to knock on the doors. I knocked on 20 doors down the road, down North Road, and all the way up to the cheese factory to let them know that they'd be starting on the 7th. They did ask us, the construction people were asking that we do not go down and take pictures down there during the day while they are working. Not sure why, they just don't want us to. Started out slowly, had a hard time getting the crane here in the first day or two. They did finally get it here, and honestly, I've not been down there during the day to see what's going on.
Take pictures.
I would like to take pictures, but I can't do it when they're moving the stuff around. They do have a weekly meeting for updates and everything on Tuesdays. So unfortunately, I don't really have any updates to give you, except for I do know that they're there working on it.
I have been down there, Tom. The bridge itself is gone.
Okay.
They're working on the south abutment right now. It's about halfway gone. They were thinking, what they told me was 1 day per side for the abutment, so it must be in pretty good shape.
Okay.
Not breaking down very well, so but they are halfway through that. So
Okay. We had one call from a resident that it was the first day they were there, that people were turning around in their driveway. So Pat asked them if they could place a sign out on C and out on 97 to let everybody know instead of on Stott and Elm Tree they had one. So they did put one out there, and as far as I know, that took care of that issue. But they had multiple cars turn around their driveway because of the bridge being out, so that's what I have to this point.
There was also a lot of more travel up and down 1 mile on Drake Road before the sign was up, and now that the sign is up, it seems like it reminds everybody before they get that far that
Right,
it's
exactly,
out.
yeah.
Fire department, Adam?
All right, we've had no calls since the last meeting. We had 2 unauthorized burnings that were taken care of. No new members at this time. We had several individuals in different classes. Training for this month will be on communication, that's tomorrow. We got one firefighter, Scott Berg, is taking his EMT. Community education, September is World Alzheimer's Month. Lori's asked that we please follow and share the link on our Facebook page. Fall Festival, we had a good event, good turnout in the afternoon, good turnout in the evening. So thank you to everyone who helped out and donated and took time to make things successful. That's all I have.
Treasurer?
Both months reconciled. Last month we seemed to have an issue that was more apparent than real. Some of the cash receipts for the interest got keyed into August, which allowed me to reconcile, but I updated from the balance sheet, so we're good. Are there any questions? Yes, I did.
Yes.
So I'm unsure about the decline in the public works CD, Mr. 10/16/20, from July to August, it went down $1,200.
I didn't hear the question.
The public works CD matured 10/16/2020, was $59,671 in July, and in August it was $58,409. I guess I'm just curious about the decline of $1,200.
That was a bill from the state of Wisconsin for Stockbridge.
Clerk report, Patty?
We got a renewal checklist from the insurance company, a copy of a certified letter, that was written to the chair, copied on a violation letter from CPZ for Shoya Creek Road, sanitary and zoning permits issued to properties on 97 Oak Lane, zoning permits issued for Shoya Creek and Drake, sanitary permits on Deer Run, Oak Lane, and Cayman, notice of a public hearing for the County Board of Adjustment, and the county clerk's office and CPZ are assisting with our election redistricting maps at no cost. Ready for check?
Yeah.
The checklist is 18521 through 18563 with EFTs 2021-40 through 2021-50. And the amount of $134,822.89. That checklist also includes the Fall Fest expenses that were previously approved at the last board meeting. Those are checked 18527 through 18530.
What did we buy from the NTC campus store?
It was training for one of the EMS.
Titan Machinery?
That is the grass cutter, the mower.
So we have a mower, but yet we're paying somebody to mow it?
No,
No?
the ditch mower for
Oh,
the tractor.
okay, thank you. online, you could. Anybody else have questions?
So the 1140 on the bottom, where Wisconsin Department, is that to the bridge? The second one from the bottom, 18,562.
That is not what was transferred. What John was asking about has already been transferred. This is a new invoice.
Okay, so that 1260 was from last month. That's it?
Before that, it was probably from like July.
Okay.
Does someone like to make a motion to approve the checks?
A motion to approve the checks and let John McCasker present them.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to approve the checks. Starting in, what was it again, Patty?
18521 through 18563 with electronic funds 2021-40 through 2021-50 in the amount of 134,822 per unit.
Does anybody have any questions about the library and what we owe them for the check?
That's gonna come up. Let's do this motion
Oh,
first,
okay.
then you
Sorry.
then you get to make the next motion.
Sorry.
I have a motion and a second to approve the checks stated as Patty said. Yep. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay.
Now we just need the board to approve the transfer from the, what is it called, the SCLS. That's a holding account at the library that when they renew the contract, they're gonna get rid of that. There's, oh, that's the wrong one. $458.12. So the total on your checklist is $83,391, less $41 that the library took off, less $458.12. But we need a specific motion in the minutes to let the library know that you're authorizing the use of that $458.12.
Well, I make a motion to let the library authorize the use of the $450.12. And then there'll be nothing left in that account.
Correct.
A second.
Any further discussion? Since there's no further discussion, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. Ayes have it, passes.
The ARPA grant, the first expenditure report is due October 31st. The grant's right now being administered under the interim final rules. There's supposed to be update and further guidance coming. Requesting board approval and submitting the required documentation for the first reporting period with no funds expended. It's gonna be the agreement, the authorization, and a copy of the budget that matches the numbers that we put on the application.
What did you say was the agreement, the budget, and what was the other item that was needed?
The agreement, the budget, and the compliance.
We're going to use your words, because I'll make that motion in your words.
Second.
I second.
Oh, sorry.
I didn't know if Kevin was gonna repeat it, sorry.
You're not gonna be repeating
No.
it.
And I'm not repeating anything.
All right.
I wanted to stay correct.
Okay.
Any further discussion on that? Since there is none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, nay. Ayes have it, passes. That's it for you, Patty?
That's it.
Okay. New business, the Brickyard preliminary plat.
Hey, Tim Breland. As you're aware, we started this process for the subdivision back in March, and we're looking for your approval today on the preliminary plat. To date, we did receive the rezone, so we put the subdivision in. We did receive the approval by Marathon County Zoning Department for the final, or the preliminary and the final. We did receive approval by DNR for our stormwater plan, and we received the approval by the Plant Commission just a week ago. So we're looking to get your approval on, so we can get the final into you for recording.
So all these are the final maps, not preliminary maps? There's
Those are all
nothing
finals.
that's changed.
Everything, nothing will change. Everything's been approved by the county, everything's been approved by the DNR. The only one request that someone had asked, custom of doing his modeling, we had 12-inch culverts, and you were asking for 18-inch culverts, because that's what the town wants.
I was gonna ask that question. I noticed that that first culvert off of Man was a 12-inch. I was looking at the pictures of the ditch, and I was thinking that maybe, I didn't know if it was engineered that way, so some of that water would actually pass on the west side and go to the other pond on the west, versus all of it going underneath and coming to the one. I wasn't sure of that. I just know that cleaning out in the winter time, cleaning out 18 inches is easier than a 12-inch.
And we have no problem with bumping it up to an 18-inch, because you, I know, you had a discussion regarding that, and I have no problem bumping that to an 18-inch to meet what your standards are for the township.
Okay. Yeah, and I was just curious if it was actually engineered that way to do that.
Right, it's kind of, it's meant to go in there, but if there's too much water coming down, then it goes over and goes down to the next one, and then it hits the pond without having to go underneath the road.
Okay.
So that's why it's engineered that way.
I guess, if you don't mind, I have a couple things here, just to ask you guys.
Yep.
I stopped by and talked to some of the residents this last weekend, and two of the residents I talked to are on Montgomery Avenue, and be where the retention pond on the east side, I guess would overspill in, and I just want to have a clarification on this. And I didn't see it anywhere to where, let's say that that pond does get up to levee height and starts coming over, where does that water actually go in? Is it ditched out, or is it going to go down through those yards and across Montgomery and to E and?
That's where it goes to, because that's where the existing stuff goes now off the farm fields.
Okay.
So all we're doing is we're just slowing down from existing, from our proposed. So there's less water runoff than there is existing.
Okay, so that's my next question, and excuse me, I don't understand this, I have to see it in my own head. So, I look at a field, and Jeff and I talked about this a little bit too, and we agree to disagree a little bit with this, but, so I got a 50-acre farm field, and it rains out, and that stuff leaches out and comes down, and it's going into those ditches and across Montgomery, okay? Now we have a retention pond where possibly it starts to overflow, and now you have an actual stream that's coming over there. Is there a difference of the amount of water that's gonna hit that area at once versus leaching out?
No, because how we model it is, I can tell you the exact pages and look at the maps. It's the existing map. It shows E1, E2, E3 on
Saw
it.
that, yep.
Yep, so those are the three existing, and
Yep.
that's where those drainage patterns are going currently.
Yep.
And they're all going, where that one on the east side that you're talking to, that's right where it's going. That's where the outlet is
Yep.
in between those two people's backyard.
Correct.
So with that pond, with the community, the volume that we have, we're slowing down what is coming in there. Even, it's less than what is existing that's coming down into there.
Okay.
Because per DNR standards, we have to do the 1 and 2 year event. But when you have a pond like this, it's really easy to control all the way up to the 100-year event, because you have to get the suspended solid removal, and that's more restrictive on these wet ponds, is getting all that suspended solid that's coming from the roadways, the ditches, the gravel, all the salt that you guys throw on the year. That stuff has to get collected in there. So that's why we're able to reduce the 100-year storm event that's coming through. And that's the maximum storm event that anyone ever plans for.
Okay, so on the east side of the property,
yep.
between there and the residents, is there a silt screen that runs across there at all? Is there any kind of a ditch at all that's going to go there, or is it just automatically gonna come down and then just go to the natural ground that's
It's
there?
gonna go down, so it's coming through a, medium riprap overflow weir. So it's not coming rushing out of there, just flowing over top of grass. So it's still gonna be coming out slowly, it's not like it's gonna come pouring out of there. And then once it runs through there, then it's just gonna eventually hit the grass, because eventually there's no more riprap, because we can't put riprap on neighbors' properties.
Correct. Okay. I know those two residents are very concerned about water coming through that area.
And we understood that from our preliminary discussions that we even had with the county the very first time, when we just started designing all this stuff and telling them we wanted 3 ponds instead of 1 big pond up on the north end.
Right.
Like, let's do 3 small ones so that we don't have to flood out the north even more that's already wet. Because I've been through that wetland here.
Okay. So basically what you are saying then is that the way the ponds are going to control the flow of the water, you're actually going to see less water coming out of there than you would the seepage from that field.
Correct.
Okay.
Yes.
That's on an average?
Well,
We're average, on the average,
for each
we'll
storm
see
event.
average less water.
Yes. On each storm event.
Can I ask how the volumes were measured?
They're, for,
You say it was
Volumes.
based on the volume of water flowing through there. How was
so
that?
we have to make a pond, there has to be 5.
No, I mean currently, how'd you base that pond on?
Basically, so we use the curve numbers that are provided to us from the DNR based on farm fields.
Okay.
And then we use the existing contouring, which we went out, did topo the whole entire field, so that we can see where that water's going, and that's how we get our existing, and then from our proposed, we make sure that we're controlling the storm events, and that's how we come up with our volume.
Sure.
No, Dustin, the storm event modeling that we did on that program, does that mean that the development just has the roadway and the ditches? It does not take into account
It has,
the roofs and the...
yes, it does. So
It
we
does.
took into consideration, Jeff gave us rough numbers on size of houses, which is like 3,500 square feet, and then we did a 5,000 square feet for impervious surfaces, driveways, more sheds, if somebody wants to put a shed in their backyard, stuff like that. So we
So
went.
that's built into that model?
That's built into the model, and it's in the report in the first few pages. It says assumptions made were that they're 5,000 square feet of impervious surface,
So
3,500.
you looked at, and if I read that right, you looked at the 1 year, 2 year, 10 year, 25 year, and 100 year
Yep.
rain events.
Yep.
And the 100 year rain event was a 6-inch, a 5.9-inch rain event.
Right.
And that rain event, the discharge from the total of those 3 ponds will actually be less
Correct.
than what it is today.
Yep.
Because of the retention volume in each one of those ponds.
Exactly. Yep.
And just for everybody else's information, each one of these ponds, if you haven't had a chance to really study the drawings, has a outlet device built into the pond, and it has a 4-inch inlet coming from the pond, and then that 4-inch inlet will dictate the rate of discharge out of that pond. There's a 12-inch pipe that leaves that then discharges out beyond the pond. The riprap overflow is just if that 4-inch orifice can't flow enough water
Correct.
for whatever the rain event is, that pond will fill, and then the secondary discharge point will be that riprap overflow, am I right?
Right, it's actually a third, because it'll actually flow into the
that.
control structure first and go out the 12-inch pipe. And then once it gets past that, it can no longer, that 12-inch pipe can no longer host all that water coming through, then it will go over that.
So that concrete structure is how big, 24 inches?
It's a 24-inch culvert.
And then
upside
you've
down.
got a fiberglass graded surface that the water can flow through?
It'll be a Neenah Foundry casting on the top of it for it to come through, like a beehive type one for it to
Okay.
flow over into. On the concrete makes them for that purpose.
Have you ever, I understand what you're saying, and I truthfully am all for this, but right now, I mean, when we first moved in there 20 years ago, we had it was dry. The weather has become more and more wet. The flowage has changed a little bit in there too. My question is, have you ever seen that in action? have you ever seen, even this year, about 3 times now, not only, and it gets to be rushing at about, I'd say, a little over a foot deep. It's washed out our road once. They put in a new culvert down there. It can't handle it already. It's been over the culvert. It'd be great to be able to say, yes, there's less water flowing through there.
And there is. That's what we designed for, less water to be flowing through.
So I guess my question becomes, how much water? What's gonna happen? I mean, I'm all for benefiting myself here, because my yard is totally unusable on the east portion of it.
Is there a way of putting a percentage in it?
I can tell you exactly the numbers here. Just let me bring that page up. It's in their packet that they have. So for the 1 year event, we're reducing it from 33.5 cubic feet per second to 7.2 cubic feet per second. So in the 2 year, we're going from 44 to about 12. The 10 year, we're going 85 to 58. The 25 year, we're going 118 to 89. The 100 year, we're going 179 to 164.
Okay, so does that tell you, or did you get the information as to what the flow rate is now without any control?
Yeah, and that's those preliminary conditions, that's what I was reading off first. Those are the existing ones. Like for the 1 year, we're going from 33.5 cubic feet per second of water coming off these fields to 7.2 cubic feet per second.
But keep in mind, that number you're quoting him though is
The overall,
all of his
yes,
charge.
that's
So not
overall.
all of it is running towards your property, some of it's running.
Right, that's just the overall.
Thank goodness.
You're right. I'm just saying, I'm just went through my summary, that the DNR wants to see it, you're right. So, we're reducing it, that's, we have to for the DNR standards, and that's how we got DNR approval. And then, like I said, with these ponds, it's easy to control up to the 100-year event because we have to maintain suspended solids as well.
Just a question. In the last 20 years, how many 100-year events have we had?
This year.
Honestly, I think we've had 2 that I know of.
Yeah.
We had one about 20 years ago, and this year in August, we recorded a 5.9 rain. So
be close to
we
being
have
75.
2 that I'm aware of.
But then we had another one that wasn't 5.9, but it was backed up by another substantial rainfall.
Really short.
Period, right, I mean, that would have been my question, is what happens when they start stacking up like that again?
There's no system that you can design.
Right,
You can look at the hurricane.
Right,
that just
yeah,
happened.
I mean, you go to New Orleans, they built it up so it never happened again and all,
It's still
so we
happening.
had, yeah.
Now it's still a 100-year storm event.
Yeah,
That's
10
all
years
we
ago.
can model up to.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
And this is the conversation Jeff and I had the other day where we agreed to disagree. Because I look at the saturation, because it seems like McMillan gets dumped on. I mean, this year we got a huge amount of rain here, and then after that, it's the saturation thing. Okay, now we're saturated. And I get it, you can only do your model for the one rain for a 24-hour period, I'm guessing.
Right.
Okay, so.
The last rain we had, the very last one, after the heavy rain, okay, saturated, the first one saturated the soil. A day or 2 later, we had one at night, and when the soil is saturated, the water comes off of that hill like a flood. I mean, the lead edge of it is 2 to 3 inches high. That's how fast it comes off there. So,
Tom, I had called Tom earlier in the week and just talked to him about this a little bit. And I've talked to you about your concern about it too. And Tom had said, what if we get 2 or 3 of these rains in a row? I said, then you're gonna have to talk to the DNR about changing their minimum restrictions for building subdivisions and roads. Because all we can do is all we can do is design it, or all Dustin can do, because I don't know how this works. Dustin did all work on this.
well, and
The DNR tells us what the standards should be. Dustin designs it for those standards. If we're gonna say, what if we get 10 inches of rain in 2 hours? Well, then somebody should talk to the state or the DNR about saying, we need to make the standards so you can withstand, you know what I mean?
Well,
So all we're doing is getting the approval of the DNR for the standards with which we have to design a subdivision.
understand.
And I don't know what to tell you, I know you've got a wet spot there. But like we said, we've been told by the DNR that yes, this will reduce the amount of water coming to your property. And I know it's tough for you just to trust that.
Well, you're damn right it is. And Jeff, you know, I told you, I'm not against this. I understand. I have too much lost already in this with the climate change. Now, there you go. DNR set these rules when? Now they're talking about climate change and everything too, so, and it's happening. So maybe an ounce of prevention is
But this is built in with the ounce of prevention. This is the design for the ounce of prevention.
Okay.
It's not, they're not saying this should get by. They're saying this is how we want it designed, and that's all we can do.
Is there a way for us to look at the plan and see it? I mean, I'd get to see it. I mean,
Yeah, so one of the things I wanted to bring up, and this is more of a question for the Plan Commission, because when I read, and I have every page of our town ordinance here, and Jeff, I'm not against your subdivision at all. I just want to make sure we're following procedure. If you go to section 446, subparagraph 11, it has preliminary plat review and approval. Paragraph A talks about Plan Commission recommendation. And then it goes into paragraph 2 about a public hearing, and it says the town clerk shall schedule a public hearing on the preliminary plat before the Plan Commission. Not before the board, before the Plan Commission.
But those were written before we went with county zoning. Now the county takes care of that.
So we don't follow our own ordinance then?
Well, we do follow them, but there have been some changes to it.
So this doesn't apply in this case?
Not for the public hearing, that's done up at the county level.
They had that on the 23rd.
Yeah, they've already had it.
The 23rd of when?
So in this, it also states that private property owners within 300 feet of the proposed subdivision need to be notified in writing.
They were.
March 2.
Not according to what Tom found.
I didn't even know about this meeting until I found out 3 days ago.
So I just want to make sure
The
that
county
we're
is supposed to
doing this.
notify them, correct, Tom? And they have. been
Everybody should have got
actually
notified
good.
from the county.
Yeah.
We have received one notice from the county, and that was earlier.
You did receive one?
Right.
Early this
If you have county zoning, they have all those hearings and they're in charge of all those hearings and stuff.
So then they should have written the letters?
Can I offer a correction? You are county, I'm the Marathon County Land Surveyor. So you are county zone. So anytime there is a zoning change, that's done through the county through a public hearing. This is different. This is a land division, okay? So zoning is handled by the county. Land division, if you have your own land division ordinance, you know, that's different. This is your process for land divisions. Marathon County we did our process for land divisions. It was approved August 31st, whether it was prior to the plan commission that was here. So, you know, just because you're county zone doesn't mean that we handle your public hearings for land divisions. That's not the case.
But they did for the zoning.
Any zone changes, so if someone's applying for a rezone.
Which they did.
Which was approved, and the rezone has happened, that's done.
And they had the public hearing for that.
They had the public hearing for that, they rezoned it from the zoning district that it is right now.
So I'm just bringing it to everybody's attention that it doesn't appear like we've properly held the public hearing.
We had 2 plan commission meetings though, so we had.
But it wasn't notified. It wasn't properly notified. The landowners within 300 feet of the property were not notified. That is against the law. It is. And I'm not about to approve a plan that's being presented by the Plan Commission that did not follow our regulation that we have here. So by my understanding of it, and with his clarification, I still think that this is correct. That the Plan Commission needs to have a public hearing, and all the landowners within 300 feet of the property boundary need to be notified in writing. And then we have to schedule that hearing within 30 days. That's the way I read this. Now, if I'm wrong, I'd like somebody to present me with the county ordinances or whatever that says otherwise, but that's the way I see this. Now, I hate to delay Jeff's project any further, but we gotta follow procedure because we're gonna have some landowners in our township that are not gonna be happy because they didn't know about it. Same thing with Elm Tree Road that we paved, and one of the landowners there never heard about it until the paving machine showed up. You know, so we need to make sure that the public is notified properly.
Can I add one thing quick? There are state statute requirements. I'm not sure exactly what date the preliminary plat was submitted to the town for review, but from that date, you have 90 days.
Yeah.
Or it's entitled to approval
Yeah.
to protect Jeff's interests.
Even if we don't follow the public
Regardless,
hearing?
regardless, does not matter. You have 90 days as a town to act with your process. That's to protect Jeff Hill. Because otherwise the town could drag this out for years and there's nothing to protect him. So that 90-day statutory requirement at the state level is in effect. So that, like I said, I don't know what date this was submitted to you, formally submitted to you for approval.
5th of August.
The 5th of August. Okay.
That's
Because
when-
it was submitted to the county, the preliminary plat on June 28th. So, just remember, just so you're aware, there is a statutory timeline that needs to be met.
Yeah, I see it here. It's in
Hey,
paragraph
Dorothy,
1.
what was that, Dorothy? What was that date you gave? August 5th?
August 5th was the first that I had heard about it,
Okay.
Heard or seen?
and that was,
Heard.
I got an email
That said he got it
from,
August 5th.
from Dustin. That was the day that I learned about it.
It depends when it was submitted to your town clerk.
Did you ever get it, Patty? We have a file.
I got a set of plans in my mailbox on Thursday.
On which,
Thursday.
Yeah, they
Right,
were submitted
yeah.
for the third, since at
I
least
know,
the third.
just- Well, and I
Your
know
town
that,
has had them since
it
the
was,
third.
it was last month, we were going through and Patty was pulling stuff off and that's the stuff I was looking at.
Right.
That I talked to you with that first night.
Yep.
And so that's the first time I had seen it, I'm guessing it was about that time,
that's the first time.
early August. But this is the first set that I got was Thursday. Now, I did get a set from you guys after that meeting, and we have a lot of notes on it, so you might want to actually take my copy, because it's fresh and clean. But anyway,
I have one more thing to add. Do we want to talk about a bond for the road?
I do have that also.
I know we can't exceed $100,000 per the ordinance of 223-7, but what I don't know is what we want to set that bond at.
Which is the other question. Does this meet our standards of what we did?
Roads and stuff?
It's,
It is,
this is our,
yes. That is. With the exceptions of that one culvert.
We're making that change, because we already discussed that.
Yep.
So I don't know if we want to compare it to how much the cost of Birch Tree Road was. And I believe this road in the Brickyard is about half the length of Birch Tree Road.
well, you're not gonna blacktop it till towards the end anyways, right?
No, I would blacktop it, next fall.
And then try.
Well, if I don't get a road in this year, that's a different story. It looks like I'm not gonna get a road in. I mean, I'm up against the clock with utilities. It looks like this road won't go in until next year. I see no wiggle.
So just a question to the plan commission, the current and former, was there anything in the ordinances with subdivisions or anything else, roads, as far as when the township takes it over? Is it just after it's blacktop and it becomes our road per our ordinances, or do we need to have so many houses built on it prior to, so they're not?
You have to go by your specs, and once it's been blacktop and all the steps have gone through with inspections, is that core drilling, Butch?
No, we never did core drill.
But let's make sure that it's all done correctly.
Right, we always had someone right there watching the whole process. making
But
sure
then
it's
any
done.
damage to the road during any construction project on any house, the owner is responsible for damages. Correct? Just said it might be better blacktop towards the end.
Well, the problem with that, and I dealt with this with Callaway Drive, the problem with that is you wait 7, 8, 9 years and the asphalt cost is 3 times what my budget numbers are. And then I'm in charge of maintaining it for 10 houses in there, 24 lots. I'm in charge of maintaining that throughout the winter. So,
Double that story.
So do we want to schedule a public hearing? Get that
So,
in?
do you guys have a date that it was submitted to the county?
I knew at the office. I didn't bring it along with me. I thought it was well before that. I believe I emailed Patty at the same time I emailed it over to the county, which was
June 28th, it was submitted, formally submitted to Marathon County. I'm not sure what the date is for that one.
No, I'll figure it out.
So that means we'd be 90 days at or about September 28th.
And I'm not for or against this, I'm just here if you have any questions. I just wanted to make you aware that there is a timeline and it's.
What is that timeline actually specific? Just when it gets to you or when it gets to the governing body?
It starts to the governmental body. It starts
Well,
when it gets to the governmental body.
In the town code here, it states that the board, I'm just gonna paraphrase here, it says the town board, so I'm gonna jump into the middle of this paragraph. It says town board can act within 90 days of the date of the original filing of the plat with the county. So to me, the clock starts when that's submitted to the county. That's what I read.
I don't know, I don't believe that that's, how the state statute reads though. I think the state statute refers more to this governmental body, the official, but, I mean, that's your ordinance, so. June 28th was the day it was submitted to Marathon County for approval.
I have a copy of the email that was sent from Nicole Fell on Tuesday, August 10th to the town of McMillan, copy to Dave Decker, and the subject is final plat within the town of McMillan, and it's the land division within the town of McMillan.
That was the final? Or
That was the
final?
final, that was the final plat after. The Marathon County Planning and Zoning, the email from Brittany came on June 29th.
June 29th.
Just like he said.
Planning Commission did not get that email.
if I can say just a few things, that I appreciate everybody that's here. You guys, I'm sure you put up with a lot of crap from people. we're not trying to get away with anything here. It seems like there have been a little bit of communication issues from time between between the township and the county, and with us and the county and with us and the township. It's difficult to get that communication aced up. That being said, I am deep into this thing based off of the original rezone meeting that we had back in March, where the former board, you guys weren't here, obviously, the former board looked at it, said, yeah, we vote to rezone this. It was in a rezoning area for residential, and it was basically said to us, we're gonna go along with county zoning on this thing. And so here we are, county zoning's approved it, the DNR's approved it, and I'm not suggesting you guys are trying to put the kibosh on this. I know we have to do the proper steps and we have to notify people. But boy, it's tough to take when you're sitting month after month, $500,000, $600,000, $700,000 of my money sitting there where I can't get a road started. And now if it goes until spring where I can't get utilities in, I'm up against a pretty hard deadline on utilities. So Again, I am not suggesting you just throw the book out on this thing, but the fact that we have junk boards hasn't helped really. The fact that we didn't get that checklist when we first came here back in March, that certainly slowed things down. I guess I'm asking for some discretionary help, if any at all. I think we've proven that it's been designed and engineered properly with the DNR and with the county. I've never had a subdivision issue in the 8 that I've done. This will be the 8th one I've done now. I've never had an issue with the road. I've never had an issue, a water issue. Especially now, huh?
Never say never.
Well, I understand
I
that,
know.
but, so I guess I'm asking if we have to have if we have to alert the neighbors. I'll deliver letters tomorrow if I have to, or knock on doors, or make phone calls to see if we can get a quicker meeting, or if we can get what we can do to expedite this within reason. I'm not saying that we should see if we can get all the neighbors here tomorrow, but within reason, what can we do? And once that is done, then again, we have to wait for the next board meeting, or, you know what I mean? I'm begging a little bit here on what can we do to help expedite this thing without skipping the neighbors getting their input and stuff like that.
I think our preliminary concern to begin with was the water, and that's been addressed, and that wasn't an issue that the town board could take up to begin with. I mean, that stuff is out of our hands. Notification part, yes, maybe there's a lot of communication things, but I will, most of the neighbors up there, I'm gonna have to guess, have seen the big sign.
I've been-
There's only been a couple here. Maybe there's some that never go up Man Road, and they come to E and go to town. I would have to, like, I think I've said before, if people want to be informed and know what's happening, they're gonna take the initiative to do it too. There are laws and rules, I know that. But if you drive up Man Road, you can see the big sign that wasn't there before. So
What do you two feel, being you're on either side of that ditch there?
How do we feel?
Yeah, about,
Well, first of all, just to go back to what you just said, I've been to every online meeting, every meeting I can attend. I've been, I think, here twice in March. I was here. So yeah, those people that are involved are usually people that care most. Okay, but what you said, I have to take.
But we were notified of many of these meetings, and
Right.
to this other gentleman's point, the online agendas are not available, nor are the minutes.
But in that aspect, monthly meetings, they're posted, I'm not gonna pick on you guys, but in the number of years that I've been here and doing this stuff, I haven't seen you until it's in your backyard.
Well, this is.
And that's the way it happens with most of the issues, especially in McMillan, unless it affects somebody.
I've been to these meetings for the animal clinic, the church, and the tower. Okay, so I know when things happen, so, I
Yes.
mean, and
Because you care.
I'm more concerned when they affect me.
Yeah.
So
No, I meant no disrespect by that, but it just is broad base. Normally people, a lot of times there's.
Well, I guess
nobody
the
here.
point is, I don't intend to come to your monthly meetings still, but I do expect to be notified when something affects me.
With the legal process of that, yes.
Okay, but anyway, let's get on with this.
So for this ordinance, we have until September 28th, otherwise it is approved
the first set goes.
for the first set.
Preliminary.
And my understanding is that if the preliminary goes, you can fast track that by okaying that preliminary as your final.
And that's what we're here for
And you
too.
can turn around and,
I'll change, I already changed the culvert, I'll just give you guys new plans the
Right.
next day.
exactly.
There's
So
just one culvert.
that's the fast track you can do, is you can take that preliminary then, and you can fast track that as your final, and that can be voted on that way.
I could try.
Yes,
Get your
Mr. Opitz.
approval today? We'll do that.
Yes, Mrs. Opitz.
I have a, through Wisconsin Towns Association, I have a printout that tells you the procedure for a subdivision. And the preliminary plat review is the map, the road placement, the utility lines, the drainage. Then you have the finalized developer agreement. You know that I'm sure that, Jeff, you've talked to all of these people about what it is that you are agreeing to do. You do impact assessments. Then you must be, these things must be included in our ordinance if you're gonna follow. The preliminary plat review procedure is to have 90 days to act on the submission of the plat. So you've now got your date, which is June 29, correct? Okay, so first it goes to the Plan Commission, they have approved it. Then it goes to the town board. You have to be satisfied that all has been pretty much solidified. And we do have our subdivision ordinances, and we do have in there very specific specifications for our roads. And Jeff, do you have those?
Yep.
Yeah.
They were
So
followed.
you've got to make sure that he follows that. Now, if you need to have all your questions answered, and then, once it's approved by the board, it's very hard to turn back. So you need to get your ducks in a row here. And so it's now up to you to decide what it needs to be addressed or doesn't need to be addressed, and it needs to be brought forth. And it sounds to me like you better be having a public hearing, since apparently they didn't, and it's done, needs to be done, you know, where everybody is notified. Because your clock is ticking.
Who is responsible for notifying the public then? Who we decided was the person that should have sent that letter? Where should that have come from?
Us, the clerk.
Yes.
Our clerk should have sent it
By
out. But that,
by
but
what's
that
down
was-
here, it would have been the Plan Commission with the clerk.
Under the direction of the Plan Commission.
Exactly, yeah.
I'm just saying, you know, maybe another glitch that. Yeah, and I'm talking days here, not weeks and months that I can afford, you know.
I do have a couple more questions about this. Can I just follow through with this before we decide what we're gonna do here? Just so that I can get my questions out of the way, so I'm satisfied, so I can vote with a clear conscience. Yep. We're gonna vote. Dragonfly Road going through, I walked out there, Jeff gave me permission to walk the property, I walked out there 2 weekends ago, and looked at Dragonfly Road, and we had talked that maybe you might have to do some shifty stuff around there. I'm thinking, looking at this road and taking measurements and stuff, it should be able to be a straight shot. I'm
It's a
hoping
straight
for it.
shot.
Okay.
It is.
Good.
It's just reconfiguring the ditches.
Okay.
Some of the ditches are going left, right.
Yeah, and the one driveway there on the north side kind of throws you, because it does come out quite far with that brick border on there.
Right.
But taking the measurements, it looks like it should go straight through.
Yep.
So that was good. That was one question I had, because we had talked
Yeah.
before about maybe having to do a little jog or
Yeah, it's just the
something, so-
ditches are gotta be reconfigured,
Okay.
and that's part of this.
I think that was my last question that I really had. Nicole brought up,
The bond.
the bond, that was on mine also, so that's all I had, you know, and I get why you guys have to do that.
In all honesty, I'm satisfied. I mean, I went through this in quite a bit of detail. I put all these tabs on here, and I talked to Dustin for an hour.
Yep.
I too walked the property with Tom that day. I see nothing wrong with the design. The only glitch I see here is that the neighboring landowners weren't properly notified.
What's the soonest, what's the time frame? What's the soonest you can have a public hearing on that? to get the letters out to do
Expected 3
this.
days.
I don't think it's
It
no days.
It does, I think it does.
I'm thinking within the next week if we could do it.
This week, I have to do it.
Because you can do it the same night.
Yeah, right, exactly.
You don't have to show up twice.
Get the residents here, and he doesn't have to.
Yeah, but I mean, that's.
That's just in 3 days.
But it could be done in one night.
Yes, you can.
It just says with you.
I think it's gotta go through by mail. So you know they get the letter. A week, you know, as much quick as you can schedule.
I think we try and get these people notified and get here
That's
soon.
provided letters get mailed. Yeah, they'll have to go. I'm not gonna keep on reading.
Well, nobody would do
Tomorrow's Tuesday, right? Yeah.
and the ones that do about it.
Friday.
So I'm picking up on Tom, what was picking up on some rumblings of the legal postings. What?
You know, 24 hours, I think, Patty, right, for a posting?
Or, yes.
So, but I think,
But it
doesn't
could-
that letter have to be certified mail?
And a public hearing requires 30 days, according to my understanding, but maybe that's a different rule. What does the ordinance say? Does it specifically call it a public hearing? Or does it call it a plan commission
It
public
says the
hearing?
town clerk shall schedule a public hearing on the preliminary plat before the planning commission. And then the last sentence says property owners within 300 feet of the proposed land division shall receive written notice of the hearing, of the public hearing.
Were they notified of the rezone meeting, you know?
I'm guessing they were.
So
Because the people that I talked to did get a letter from the county, they thought, a while ago. So I'm guessing that was that letter.
Yes, for rezone
Yep. Yep. I'm guessing that's what that was.
Was that specific for rezone or did it?
Yes.
Yes.
Also,
The plat was drawn at that time. It wasn't considered a preliminary plat, but the drawing of the subdivision was done at that time in that meeting. Everybody everybody wanted to see it, saw it.
If you listen to read the minutes from that meeting, you can tell that there's somebody from that area went over and asked if he could have input in the retention ponds. So there was 2 people at that first meeting. They already saw the preliminary plan. The plan commission had not seen it at this point, but they saw it up with the county. So communication kind of dropped. I brought that up repeatedly with the county, and they said it's gonna get better. I'm hoping. But
I guess
they knew.
we all have a part in that.
So today's the 13th, we have until the 28th. Let's get something scheduled.
You don't have enough time.
You
don't have time.
The 90 days will be up before you can hold them.
And he'll be able to go with it
Why can't
after the 20th of September, regardless of what you guys say.
What's wrong with an emergency meeting? That's gotta be allotted for in situations for townships where things
Not for
that need
this.
to be done.
That's what Tom just mentioned. There's a 24-hour agenda notice. And the board can have a special meeting after 24 hours. My issue with that, and I think Tom, correct me if I'm wrong.
I think you could be right.
It says public hearing. The state statute for a public hearing says it's 30 days notice.
So if it's 30 days, it's a new point.
Yeah.
Correct.
Exactly.
Okay, how many people are you talking about? People 70 feet, something like that?
300 feet, a football field away.
I mean, come on.
Three of us here. Right.
Right.
It's the interpretation of the ordinance, I think. somebody
So,
needs to
Susan
follow
Boyle,
it.
John and I got a letter from Marshfield Utilities. They want ease and access to go across our property to run the utilities to the subdivision.
And where are you at then?
On Montgomery.
On Montgomery? Okay.
Mhm. So they're asking us to sign lifetime ease and access to run the utilities through our property to go back to the subdivision.
I see that.
Not sure why they're not following the road, but they want to cross the property to go.
Do you know why they want to bring utilities through that instead of?
My guess would be for ease, but we don't,
We
just.
got a letter in the mail, that's all we know.
My guess is that's the easiest route for them, but we send them the plans of for along the roadways, the 10-foot easements that they have into these people's properties, and then that's as far as we go. Where they go from there on where they want to connect to, that's up to Marshfield Utilities, and we have no say in where they want to try to connect, and maybe they're just reaching out to you to see if they
It's
can.
the whole length of our property.
It's the first I've heard, I've heard.
This is what they, I mean, you can see what they sent me,
I
and
believe
maps.
that, they hadn't told me about that, so I think it's something that maybe they're.
They're probably just trying to do it for ease, because it's probably the
It's-
easiest route
well-
going in between these people's houses.
It's cheaper to go
Exactly.
through than to go out to the road and around.
I don't know, I think we as a township need to notify the neighbors and try to get them to a meeting as soon as we can. We need to help Jeff here, because we obviously dropped the ball, because we didn't have the plan, we didn't have a public hearing in a timely manner. Now we're holding up this project. If it weren't for that, I'd give them the approval tonight. So whatever we need to do to hold that meeting, and I'd say try to do it within the next 7 days, or sooner.
We still have to have another planning commission meeting and another board meeting yet.
The plan commission's already sent it to the board.
Without the preliminary, we still got the final yet.
You're looking at the preliminary, you're not looking at the
We
final.
can do those, I believe, all in one night. We can, if that gets,
So if we did-
preliminary gets passed, you can fast track. If we agree and you agree
So we could get
on
the,
that plat and there's no changes on it,
right,
we can fast track it through.
so we could get the planning
All in one
commission
night.
in one night,
That's
you
the
guys
way-
for preliminary and final in one night, so you
That's
guys
the
are
way
review
I read it.
preliminary, they do final, and then you do final.
I
All
don't
in
see
one
why
night.
we couldn't.
Okay, we're again talking back to drainage, and that's fine with me. What about Susan? Would that include then an approval for that, or?
That's
That's
all.
utility company.
That's a whole different, that's a whole different.
You don't have to, I mean, it has nothing to do with me, but no.
You wanna say no, you can say no. They're just asking permission. So we can get both of those within.
Yes.
Joe Berger. Don't want to give you one number. It sounds to me that the board just needs to say, this didn't happen right, but we need to approve this tonight. Because according to Penny, according to what you read, you have to have a public hearing, and that's going to be past the 29th for 30 days. You can't have a meeting next week and call it a public hearing. So, and if you go past the 29th, Jeff doesn't need your approval.
Right.
You're past it. So the best, the board should say, whoops, let's get this approved and move on.
Yeah. So which goes back to the question, when you originally got the notification about the rezone, there was a preliminary map kind of drawn in?
Not in that. It was here at that meeting.
It was here, but not in
Right.
the letter that they received.
Right.
Good.
There's a preliminary sketch up.
Sketch, yeah.
There's a preliminary sketch up of the.
Yeah, I mean, for us, but I mean, as far as the letter that was sent
Oh,
to the
yeah.
neighbors for the rezone.
Can we just say that? And that's all we're doing.
You still want to be following the rules, of the public hearing has to be 30 days. And that's what she
That's
said.
exactly it.
Yeah, but we would only be approving preliminary plat yet, right?
Right, and then we're gonna ask you guys for a special meeting for final with you and planning commission on the same day. And then everybody can be notified for that one too.
I thought I asked before if this was the final.
It is the final, but
Not
they
until you
only
say
approve, they only approve
It has nothing,
The
nothing.
county approved that as the final. We
So
have not
how
approved that
soon
as
were
the
you
final.
thinking of that meeting?
as soon as you guys can get together for it to do it.
The county approved that last week.
Try to get the land.
You can do 2 motions on that, you can do it as.
And that's what I mean, we can get both of you and we can get a letter written up to them, so
This
it's
is
not
on the
gonna
change
change
of
the
the
final.
notification wasn't done. I don't know where we stand on that legally.
We ain't gonna meet it whenever.
Yeah.
We're not.
I get that.
So I think that we approve it as of tonight, schedule this final meeting, joint meeting with the planning commission, try to notify any landowners that can be here for that meeting, and let them voice an opinion on this.
Can I make a suggestion? I don't know if you've ever called the attorneys from the Wisconsin Towns Association, but they can give you free, they'll give you free advice, and they'll tell you if it had to be 30 days. And if it's 30 days, then don't do anything and let them start the 28th. Because you don't want to be illegal in what you're doing.
Yeah.
But the Wisconsin Town Association has attorneys that you pay for if you belong to that. You know, so, I mean, get their advice, and then you legally, your butts are covered.
How are you with that?
I'm gonna be okay with whatever you guys decide to do. I mean, I have no choice. but-
We're in a predicament right here.
I understand.
you know,
I understand.
Rather than calling the town association, you need to call Lee, he's more familiar with our ordinances than the town association. Lee Troy's the town attorney, you're gonna end up paying for that. The town association is gonna tell you state statutes. They're not gonna tell you what to do.
Whatever advice Lee gives you, he's gonna have to back up with my thoughts.
Lee knows the ordinances.
The only thing I still would say is, Jeff, I trust you won't let it happen, but I still want that insurance.
You can also implement the fine.
I'm not gonna go pay for a bond until I know I get subdivision
Oh,
built.
no, I-
I'm deep
no.
enough into this thing, I don't wanna spend any more
I
money right
agree
now.
with you, but I think we need to talk about that too.
Well, you guys can decide that. I'm not-
Yeah.
Quickly, is there a place that we can get a copy of the plat with the ponds as they're being planned, and today, tomorrow, next week? I really don't care. I just-
From the clerk, she has them, she'll have, she can copies.
What, the whole thing, copy?
No, I'll just look through it,
Well, it's just a little different, more difficult to make copies of the sheets, so if you want everything, then, I mean, it's gonna take a minute.
I'll look at it.
He's gonna wanna see C6. That's got everything on it. Looks like this.
Oh,
I
yeah.
have it.
Do it.
Shows the road, shows the drainage, shows the ponds, shows the lots.
That's- Yeah, I just,
That tells you the most.
When's the 30 days up?
Just table.
The 28th. Yep. 28th or 29th, like I said, I heard both 28th and 29th, so.
Can I ask, is there a public hearing notice associated with the final plat then, once that's submitted? That's something just to think about, you know, if the 90 days hits at, September 29th or 28th, whatever it may be, I'm sure Tim will be submitting a final plat for approval.
Well, if that's 30 days, by the time you do both, that's 60 days of the 90 from when it's initially put in. It means all the ducks have to be in a row day one when it goes to the county.
I don't see one in here. Everything I see for a, public hearing is under the preliminary plat review.
That's kind of what I assumed, because that's typically where most of this discussion happens.
They call out a paragraph here for objecting agencies, but not public comment. The plan commission review of the final plat. And then it says within 40 days of the date of the filing of the final plat, that the town clerk recommend approval with conditional approval or to the town board. So that's the only thing that mentions in there. Nothing about the town board holding any kind of a public hearing.
Is there any alternative at all for this? Okay, so they've given you 90 days. Is there, it's very important that you follow the law and have your posting for 30 days so that you can have the public hearing. Is there any alternative to this at all? Is there any law that would give them some leeway so that then they could go ahead and follow through with what the rest of it?
The way I interpret the state statute regarding the 90 days is no. I mean,
You can't do anything.
it's put in place to protect the developer.
Yes, I understand that, but I thought maybe there was something that could be.
Not to my knowledge.
Okay.
I mean, you can, by, Mr. Seubert, I mean, has a great idea. If you want to reach out to the Towns Association's attorney, they're a great resource. Probably better than I am when it comes to that, but.
I think maybe that's what you should consider doing. I mean, you're not gonna you don't wanna break the law, but yet you need to protect the developer and you need to protect your citizens. So somewhere, somebody's got to make a decision on it. And I think maybe if you go to the Wisconsin towns, do it right away tomorrow morning and see what they say. Then they won't tell you what to do, they'll tell you the law.
So you're gonna end up
And
going,
so there
you're gonna end up
goes-
going
that's
back to
gonna
me
be it.
anyway.
They're gonna tell you the state statute, they don't know the town ordinance, we
That's
need to
right.
just
Yep,
authorize somebody to go talk to the town attorney.
Yes,
We want to just table this then?
exactly.
Hang on, I'm trying to write a motion.
We have a
Okay.
town attorney. We have a town attorney. You're paying him
Yeah,
bucks.
yeah.
Get some help from him.
So the only people we're trying to appease here are the people just on here, people within 300 feet of this subdivision. If we have a list of those
I should be able to
10
get that
people,
list from the rezone.
just hear me out here. If we had a list of those 10 people, and you call those 10 people and said, would you come to the meeting anyway? And if 9 of them say no, and the 10th, or the 9th and 10th are the ones that are here, my question is, are we doing this for no reason?
No, we're doing it because this is what it's written that we have to do, and we can't break that.
It was also written though that that was supposed to be sent out from the clerk. I mean, you already broke that.
And it's also written, it's a go on the 28th.
Absolutely right.
So,
That doesn't mean I'm gonna break another one.
no, I understand, but where's, okay, I'm not.
It's just, no, I mean, and you got the 90 days too, Jeff.
Yeah.
So, and this is gonna fall before we have a public hearing, because we have to post it
Yeah.
for 30 days.
So
you're gonna get
then
28
I'll help
right.
you guys all out here and just say I'll wait for the 14 days. Because you're not gonna get that meeting inside of that.
What if we do it at a conditional approval? Can we do that?
No, it's an agenda, right?
That's what you need to find out from the attorney.
If we can do a conditional approval, can't we just make a motion that says conditional approval pending the response from Lee? Because that way, if Lee says, you know what, this is fine, then he can get ahead of June, or September 28th or 29th. Otherwise, he's gotta wait till the 28th or 29th.
The first time that this ordinance with the clerk duties was brought to me was last week, Thursday. So we're talking about dates and times, and this person didn't do that, and that person.
No, I'm not trying to point.
No,
Yeah.
I mean no disrespect.
Yeah.
None at all. I'm just saying, there is an utter lack of communication. And all we need to do at this point to find out how we can move forward is get some legal advice, and you're not gonna do that at 8:30 at night.
Right, I agree.
Who's got these now? We'll call.
I have Lee's number. Would you like me to call him? I will.
Yes.
I don't want to.
I don't want you calling either.
No, Lisa.
No, it's unfair to call a guy at 8:30 at night asking this question.
I'm sure we'll be billed every flight.
I think we get the advice of the attorney and then we have another meeting. Whether it's Thursday.
May I suggest this? Call your lawyer, you guys figure it out, let me know, hey Jeff, it looks like the 28th is a day. Or if you guys decide, hey, we can sneak a meeting in next Monday, or whatever it is.
Could be this week yet.
It could be this week, whatever, you guys let me know, but I'm just, we're not getting any answers here, you guys, and I know this pressure that you guys are to try to do the right thing. I mean, as much as I want to get it done, I also need to know that a month from now, somebody's not gonna come knocking on my door, shutting my road down because of this, so.
We don't want you to be in an undefendable position and we don't want to be in an
Understood.
undefendable position.
So with the special meeting that we're talking about, who's paying for it?
We may not have to have one.
I'm sure I am. That's fine.
Yeah, we may not have one. Yeah.
Right there, right.
So I'm gonna try this.
Well, I am, because it's my taxes if I have to pay for it. That's the point.
I'm gonna make a motion to table the Brickyard preliminary plat. We need to contact the Town of McMillan attorney tomorrow. If a meeting is needed, we will schedule it. If the advice to let it go due to the 90 days, we're not having enough time for the public hearing, 90 days is up.
I'll second it. I mean, we're just spinning our wheels.
I have one question regarding this though. So the 90 days expired, we have to get your guys' signature on the plat, the final plat for recording. So do we just have to wait till 90 days to get signatures then? Then we come chase you guys down and get signatures? Because that's what we're gonna bring for the final plat meeting, so that we get signatures that night. That's my other question.
So I think part of that is just basically gonna be based off of what Lee says. If we cannot, if we're not gonna hit the 30 days public notice, because the 90 days is gonna be up, then we're still gonna have to schedule a special meeting to do the final plat.
Okay.
And that we're gonna have to do it regardless.
Great. That was my other question.
Does that make sense to everybody?
Were two suggestions that sound workable? I said for that motion, does that sound workable?
Hold on, I'm trying to make sure I got it all. Table the Brickyard pending contact of the attorney. If a meeting is needed, you're gonna schedule. If the advice is to go with the statutory 90 days, then
We will have no meeting.
no meeting. And Dustin's question was how to get the signature on the final, and you said the special meeting is still required for the final.
Yes.
Did you second?
So I'm just gonna ask the question for the residents that appear that property owners, everybody's kind of talked to their neighbors, everybody pretty well knows. I mean, this has nothing to do with anything, but everybody pretty well knows that this is going in up there as far as you guys are aware.
Oh, sure.
Oh, yeah.
There's a sign there.
Maybe some people just think highway E in the town.
They've already had their own public hearing, don't get yourself.
Yeah, I just hope you guys are okay with this plan, because the shit's gonna hit the fan, if it's not. I mean.
Well, that's my the advice from our town attorney.
Yeah, I agree, that's the only way to go at this point, but, yeah, I think you guys are sitting in a very untenable position if something goes wrong. But, you know, these guys, hopefully they've done their work, DNR's done their homework, and, you know, I think it's all legal, it's just.
And the only change on the final plat is the culvert.
And it's not even a final plat, that's on the engineering plans. That has nothing to do with the plat. So, and that is not even something you look at in the final plat, so the final plat is just literally the map itself.
Kevin?
Aye.
Nicole?
Aye.
Tom?
Aye.
Bob?
Can you let us know as soon as you hear anything back from your attorney right away so that we know what we need to do?
Would you like to know?
Yes.
Okay.
As soon as I know.
Yes, soon as you know, let me
I
know.
got both your cell phones.
Yes, I do.
Perfect.
With that, all you're looking at is public hearing. You're not looking at, all you're looking at is public hearing, you're not looking at anything else.
Right, right.
So it's the scenario for the main question.
Right, all the scenarios, you got different ways of.
Yeah, if this is all wrong, I probably don't know where somebody. All right.
Okay, let's move on. Discussion of lawn mowing and hiring of clerk landscaping to finish out the season.
I gotta make a copy. That's the only one that I have, and I'm not gonna be able to just talk my office.
Thank you.
Put your name and number, but this little sticky note, and I'll call you as soon as I get this.
Yeah, just wait. Okay, so last month, after a lawn mowing job was done by All Star, was extremely unhappy with the grounds, the way they looked. Rod and I talked, we met up here. We never were able to get a contract agreed to and signed with All Star. So I terminated their employment and we hired Casey back for the remainder of the year.
And that goes for next year then too, right?
That we'll discuss if we're just going to, is reinvoke the right word? Casey's contract?
Reinstate.
Reinstate.
That's what you guys told them, I believe.
Reinstate his contract for the rest of this year and next year, and then we don't worry about it instead of, that's what phone call conversation was. We're, just was not happy before. There was just too many complaints. I'd like to thank Rod and Cody and whoever else is up that night. You guys worked late sweeping the entire grounds. We probably could have had a hay merger come in the way it looked. It was bad. It's mowing lawn. People take pride in it. Casey has done a great job the last few years. So it was really a no-brainer to call Casey prior to this to see if he'd be available to do this. So I'd like to make a motion to reinstate Casey's contract for the remainder of this year and next year, as per the phone call conversation we had.
I'll second that.
Motion is second. Do we have any further discussion?
So the contract he had the year before,
He had the remainder of this year and next year.
so that's gonna be the same contracts, the same rates or whatever he had, right?
Yeah.
What happened previously? Why was it terminated or why was All Star hired?
Casey moved.
And now he was back.
Now he's back.
Grass wasn't greener.
Yeah, that's right. Shorter probably.
No, not at the start.
Yeah, and yes, it is, I mean, Casey can contest, mowing out here is everybody's lawn this year. It just will not stop growing. There's just too many issues before, so.
And it does look a heck of a lot better.
I'm happy.
I trained him well.
Jeez. Strike that.
Yeah. I don't think we need a roll call on this one. motion to reinstate Clark's previous contract with us to finish out his contract? Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against say nay. The ayes have it.
Congratulations.
You got your job back.
Weren't you gonna talk to him about gas prices going up?
Hey, now.
Last year you're in the contract.
Hey, Rod,
Yes.
one thing, from your picnic that you had, your festival,
Yes.
can you make sure everything was picked up? I don't wanna hit no fireworks out in the field or not, it's kinda, they propel quite a ways. And I don't wanna break a window because of a firework or something. Last year, or 2 years ago when you had it, I hit a lot of fireworks.
I'll have Mike and Ernie relook at it.
Okay.
Also, Ron, you might wanna have him just walk the grounds, because remember the one year that Ronnie had that stake go through his lawnmower? From one of the tents that were set up on the grass?
We've painted the stakes, so.
I'm just
That wouldn't happen
saying,
again.
you know, whatever's laying out there, you might wanna have somebody walk through just to make sure.
Yes. Residential recycling bins?
So I mentioned this earlier in the garbage and recycle, you know, we bill out, I think it's $1.25 a month for extra recycle bins. Since the township administers that, manages that, we get it at a much lower rate than if we turn that back over to advanced disposal. Talking to Dale Mark tonight, you know, he said that they typically charge $10 a month for each recycle bin. So you're talking $120 a year versus the $20 a year that you get by buying, you know, by paying for that extra bin rental through the township. I think the difference being is that it's not part of your taxes, it's a separate bill. Is that true, Patty?
Correct.
And I think some people don't realize that it is a separate bill, it's not included in your property taxes, so just because you're paying your property taxes doesn't mean you paid for this extra recycle bin. So I think we just, you know, I guess my recommendation is that we just send a bill reminder to those people who are delinquent in paying their $20 annual fee for the recycle container and keep it that way because we're saving them $100 a year.
Could that just go on when the taxes get sent out at the end of the year that, you know, for the specific people, you have 2 by request?
How many do we have that are delinquent right now?
That would be a good question for Steve.
It's maybe 18, 20.
What does that mean?
No, total, that's total,
How
not
many are
delinquent.
About 10.
It's almost
Half of them?
Maybe.
So, what, $200?
Does your color coding mean anything on this?
Sure, why not?
I'm just asking. And there, I reached out to John, because John's got an extra bid, and he was instrumental in moving this along and bringing it to the board when we first started this. So I think that the misunderstanding is when the invoices were sent out, and Steve did that, it says on the bottom of the invoice that if it is gone beyond the 2020 tax season, which for a resident, they're gonna think that's last year and not this year, that it's gonna go on your taxes. So there was miscommunication in the invoice. And here we go again. We just need to let everybody know and change the invoice.
There's
How many you got?
7 have not paid.
So for all the new residents anyways, when we send out the taxes this year, there should be a letter in there that specifically states how this is set up. That you are paying this when you pay your taxes, but it's not technically.
No, you're not paying it when you're paying taxes. No, you're not.
Or not.
No.
This is an extra recycle
That
container.
extra recycling bin.
Just for
If
that
there's
extra.
more than one bin at your house, then you get an invoice.
If you must shop online.
Do they get that
I'm
monthly?
one of them.
Yearly.
You can split yours and ours though.
Yeah, 2 isn't enough.
Joe, when we started in 2020, it went from July through December for $10, and then January through December of 2021 for. The only way you can put it on the taxes as a special assessment is if they don't pay and the year's already passed. You can't do future tax assessments.
Yeah, it's not for everybody in the township, so it's whoever requests.
It's whoever requests it.
But that's a good idea Kevin has to make sure they understand what it is and how it's gonna get billed.
Right, and I think that needs to be, you know, some kind of a blurb in that.
Because garbage and recycling is
Reminder.
budgeted and we pay
Per container, but it's,
like the year in advance, or we're paying for last year.
the recycle is
You're paying
for this year.
current.
Current, so we pay 2 times
Extra
to the
payments.
Midwest Recycling Board for recycle. So we pay, I don't know, it's almost like 2/3 the first payment.
I know where you're going, and
Yes.
that's not what he's explaining. The extra recycling bin is current.
Yes.
What is figured in your budget for garbage and recycling is last year, because it's a special assessment. Okay?
So every month on the bill, whoever currently has an extra container, that $1.25 shows up with their name on it. So I can pull out the bill from last month and I can show you everybody's name that has one.
Yeah,
And
so
those
just-
people get billed separately for that.
No, we get billed separately.
Yeah, from the township. We're holding the dollar for that because we're paying it. We paid the bill. So the township is carrying that cost currently.
We're just, again, I mean, maybe we should just,
But
Yeah.
you're talking about two different things.
I know.
Okay.
So option of, if you want the extra one, this is what it is. And just to explain that this is how our garbage and recycling works. It is budgeted, but exactly how we pay for it, so people understand. Because it has been way cheaper for everybody to do it the way we have.
But your money in the water is if you bring your garbage into it. Anybody who wants an extra recycling bin, contact the treasurer, $20 a year. Done.
So the people that are delinquent,
They'll get another invoice that removes the misinformation
okay,
and reminds them.
I just put it on there because I felt the whole board needed to know what was going on here. And if after, 30 days or whatever we decide that they're still delinquent, obviously we'll have to do more later on, but that way everybody knows.
yeah.
That's the reason I put it on the,
Do we need a motion for that?
good with this one then?
Yep.
Tom, the repair of blacktop and culvert installation on Man Road.
Got a price from American Asphalt, to put some asphalt over the culverts we replaced on Man Road. The price came in at $43.95. I personally thought that was a little steep, but it is what it is. I don't know if we wanna put it out there for anybody else to do this, but the way they explained, and it was explained to me, is that the road actually isn't good enough to saw cut and put blacktop in as a natural patch. So they're gonna start from 0 and taper it to where you get 2.5 inches over where the culverts were replaced, and then taper it back to 0 on the other side. So the whole width of it is gonna be 26 to 30 feet wide, versus just where the actual culverts were actually put in. So, a little bit more work involved, but
And ideally,
I'd like to do it before winter time so that we don't lose the plow. I personally would like to do it, I just don't know.
Pat is right now grading it about once a week.
Yep, it will agree
Sometimes
every
twice a
week,
week.
and we still get phone calls on it.
I think by the time you contact Kistner or anybody else, just have them do it.
It's a patch, so I'm sure that they don't wanna come up with a patch, and that's why I was thinking that it seemed high to me, but I really don't know. I've not really been in this that long,
That's not,
Pat thought I was in line,
that's not bad at all.
so.
Yes, Gary?
Okay.
One problem with American Asphalt is they never wanted to patch anything till the end of the year. So if you do something at the beginning of the year, it's probably gonna wait till all year. where Kissner was pretty good at coming and patching stuff as we needed.
But we are at the end of the year, so.
Yeah.
Right,
I mean,
exactly.
They're gonna attack the ends?
Kevin said he could still do it, yeah. It wouldn't be a problem getting it in before.
Yeah.
Freeze.
Should, being there over like that, not flooding, they should be tapping the ends, so that's, should be a given without.
Yeah. So.
Should have
We
seen
need a
what we
motion.
get.
Yeah, we should.
I make a motion then that we go ahead with American Asphalt to pave over that culvert.
There's actually 2 culverts there, but the culvert replacement.
Yeah, over the culverts.
Okay.
Do we need to add in that it needs to be done this year yet?
If he told us, Kevin said he would get it done this way. Yeah, that would be it.
It might be a 90 day,
Yeah.
let the stuff close.
Yeah.
Is that a motion?
I made the motion.
I'll second.
Motion second to get American Asphalt to do the blacktop repair over the culverts on Man Road. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, nay. Ayes have it. Number 13, we have additional parcels of farmland that they wanted to get out of farmland preservation.
Scott and Philip Carlson are requesting parcel 56260307309999 added to the list to be removed from farmland pres zone general ag to 50.4.1 acre parcel. Approximately 20 acres of it is tillable and 30 is in some sort of individual forest plan he's got for his tax return. It's on the southeast corner of 8 Lincoln and Chase. We're just gonna add it to the list of the parcels coming out of farmland pres for the comp review, the comp plan review.
Is there anything else that we
If-
need to do besides add it to that?
All we need it in the minutes specific to that parcel with everything I just said, so that it can go onto the list that
The only drawback you might have there is if he has a contract signed with the forestry.
But that would be his issue, wouldn't it?
And
His
they're,
penalty and
they're
stuff.
aware of it and they're looking into it. But at this point, ultimately, he wants to take another parcel that's long and skinny and redo the parcel lines because it's 2 brothers.
Out of the people that are here from the planning commission, do you guys see any reason we shouldn't?
No, he's my next door neighbor, and I don't have a problem with it, I mean, that I've seen, I talked to Phil about it a little, or he talked to me about it on, Friday, past Friday.
Because I called him last Thursday.
Oh, well, and he just told me what he was hoping to do, and I said, well, I guess that's your prerogative, you know, and his brother Scott owns the backside of it, I guess, so they're just trying to realign something there, so.
My suggestion is if you're gonna put it on the list, better have the CSMs in hand beforehand, so you know exactly where boundary lines are gonna be.
But right now, we're just approving his farmland, to get it on his farmland removal law. So we're not approving any lot line changes or anything that way. It's just so they can be on the list of the comprehensive plan, so that when it moves through, that he's there.
That way he doesn't have to pay to get that redone. That's what it amounts to.
Correct. So you said we don't need a motion, Patty, on this?
No, you need a motion,
Okay.
add it to the list.
I'll make a motion to add the additional parcels to farmland preservation list that Patty listed.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Since there is none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, nay. Ayes have it. Okay, we need to set a public hearing date for the comprehensive plan. Or a date.
30 days.
Does anybody have a calendar?
Right.
Well, it has to be at least 30 days on this.
class 2 publication gotta be for at least 30 days. It's not an ordinance, it's a state statute for a public hearing.
Oh, okay. So October 11th is 30 days from today.
It's not published yet.
You have to go from the publication,
So when can you publish?
so you have to give yourself a minimum of a week. I mean, I can have it published tomorrow. It could go off to the newspaper tomorrow. But you still have to have, you have to give the newspaper notice to get it in there, and then you have to have your notice in the 30 days.
What's the rule, who needs to be at that? Can we just have that set at the plan commission night on the 25th meeting? Or not?
The
30
what?
days.
30
Public
days.
hearing.
For, on what day? You want it at the plan commission meeting on the 25th? I'm trying to understand what you said.
I want to know who needs to attend this. Is this a board thing? Is this a?
Yes,
Okay,
it is a board thing.
so we just need to pick
It is, need to
a
pick
raw
a
date.
Pick a day at least 30 days plus 1 week.
So we're looking at the 20th of October is 30 days plus a week for publication, which is a Wednesday night.
Sounds good.
Some of the stuff back and forth from the counties, they recommended 2 dates. They recommended one during the week and one on the weekend.
That was for an open house. They have an open house in between.
Okay.
The open house isn't a 30-day notice type thing. And that if you could have it like on a Saturday, if you pick 2 Saturdays between now and that 30 days, so that way people have a chance to come and look at the plan and have their comments.
So have the open house like on
At the open houses.
the 16th,
They can talk,
Or 9th?
you know.
that's a Saturday. The 9th and the 16th are Saturdays, the 2nd.
You know, whatever days work, but that is.
So then you're thinking, so have the actual meeting then also on a Saturday, not during the week?
No, you can,
Okay,
you can
just
do
the open
your,
house.
you can do your 30 days, whatever it turns
Okay.
out to be. But this gives the people the opportunity, and then they will be aware of your October 20th date.
Okay.
The recommendation from the county was to have one during the week and one on the weekend. So for the people that don't want to put their time in on the weekend for this, they could stop by in the evening. And for the people in the evening that can't make it, then they would have their weekend day. That was for the open house.
At your public hearing, there's a regular format that you have to follow. It's like any other agenda. But where you have an open house, you don't have a real agenda. You just want everybody to feel good about the plan, feel good about their questions.
More one-on-one.
Yes.
So if we're gonna have the meeting on the 20th, then I don't know if I would do the Saturday on the 9th. I think I'd do the 16th because it's
Whatever you
closer.
guys decide.
I'm just thinking, I'm just kind of thinking out loud so that people don't lose track of this over a 2-week period. You know, you can tell them that this meeting's gonna be next Wednesday then, if they're interested in coming to that meeting.
Are you just gonna post it like a regular meeting?
I think we should, yes.
Otherwise, how are you gonna notify them?
Yep. That's
Get on the phone?
volunteers?
Yep.
Because how much time do you have for your first date?
The first date with the week for publication would be October 20th, which is a Wednesday night. So then we have October 2nd, 9th, and 16th are Saturday.
The other thing though is if we are going to have to do a publication, we should be able to put the open houses on the same publication.
Right.
So that, I mean, it's also public, it's also in the paper then, and if we can get it on the website And I mean, we've done our due diligence because it's posted out here, it's posted in the paper, and it's,
Okay. So we just have to come up with firm dates then. Is it 20th, that Wednesday night, is that okay with everybody for the?
At 6 or 7, or what time are we thinking? 6:30? Cut it right down the middle?
what works the best for the board? Because it's a little bit later at 7, work better for everybody to get done with work and.
Well, is this gonna be 3 hours later than the meeting?
I really don't think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Six.
Put it down, Central, 6:30.
Yeah.
Good idea.
6:30.
6:30.
On the 20th, and then how about the Saturday, then the 9th, 16th, or the 2nd?
The 2nd, I can't make it,
Second
but it's
you can't.
open house, so I don't know critical eye.
Right, it's 16th, so would the 9th work?
I might wanna ask the county,
Yeah.
I'm sorry?
might wanna ask the county if they can make it down here then, for the open house.
And then would we like the plan commission here too?
Yeah, it's
So,
their plan to sell, so.
So, would those dates work for you guys, if you're gonna come along? And join the party?
Dorothy, I know you make good snacks.
Other commissioners, dates were okay for you?
Yes.
20th is fine with me. The weekend dates I'm not so sure about, but the
Okay,
20th is fine with me.
Bruce?
Yeah, that'll be fine.
is the 9th okay for everybody?
What time are you thinking on the 9th? Are you thinking like morning, afternoon? I know, all the questions, I'm sorry.
No, that's fine, they're good questions, I would still say it would be earlier afternoon.
Usually they used to have them, they meant like 10 o'clock,
Okay,
and at 2 o'clock they're done, you know?
okay,
You can have a broad spectrum of, people come in, people leave.
right, okay.
We're here to answer questions.
Then why don't we go with October 9th, it's a Saturday,
Yep.
from 10 to 2. Here.
I may be late, depending on when we have, just so that you guys
Well, we don't all have to be here at the same time and present, I mean, it's nice, but.
Well, the open house is at the town hall, where's the public hearing?
We're gonna do that in the fire department, or do we wanna do that here?
I think we'd be okay in this building.
I think so
We got
too.
53 people in here, so.
Yeah, I think we do it here.
Especially with a 4-hour window.
I don't think they're gonna have a mob scene for it.
Is somebody gonna reach out to the county to see if they can make it, and if so, is that
You want me
Patty?
to let the county know dates and time?
Sure, that would work. Okay.
I'll do
And
that.
then will you let us know what they say, or if it does work, or if it
They
doesn't?
have
Conflict or something.
Seriously, I'm not supposed to let you know.
Are you gonna have an open house on a weekday ahead of that too? Like Dorothy said?
No.
Dorothy just
I think the
said
20th will be that meeting.
no. Oh, okay.
That's the public hearing,
Yes.
yeah.
But are you asking if there will be 2 open houses? Right?
Yes.
Yes, that's what I was asking.
And we're only deciding on 1 open house?
I was
That's
thinking
my
2, but if you guys go with 1,
So you're thinking the 20th would be an open house also then?
No,
that's
no.
before
It's a
that.
public hearing.
Okay.
In a public hearing, the people still have the right to speak.
When it's published, you can just put in there,
Okay.
any questions at any time, contact supervisors or planning commission members.
So you're okay with the 2 then? I myself am okay with the 2. I think if people wanna come in and talk about it, they'll be there on those 2 nights. I do. But, my opinion.
Otherwise, you guys could meet every day.
I know.
They can call.
So 1 open house, and then 1 public hearing. Do you need the dates again, Patty?
Dorothy,
Yes.
what's the expected procedure after the public hearing then
then it
Moving
goes,
forward.
it goes in front of the board then that night decides. Move it along. You've got the sheet, don't you guys, from Daryl?
On the process.
I didn't bring mine with me today, but.
Oh,
Yeah, I mean, it goes through the process, the steps.
Yeah.
Because then it goes up to the county. And that's when they can correct those, was it 52, 54 parcels.
I have a question, and Patty, you might know the answer to this. Those 53 or 54 parcels that the county has decided to change, does our board need to vote on them?
We already did.
Oh, okay.
so can I make a motion for these dates?
Yep.
Okay. I make a motion to have the open house on October 9th from 10 to 2 in this town hall building, and then also the public hearing on October 20th at 6:30 PM in the town hall building.
Second.
Any further discussion? Since there is none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, say nay. Ayes have it.
If there's any change from the county, I will let you guys know immediately.
Thank
Okay.
you.
Set the workshop budget dates for the budget.
Should have them during open house.
Well, when do we want to have it done by and get it out?
On time?
Until, December 30th?
So in the past, Patty, how many meetings have been done historically to work on the budget? Do you work together once and then?
Maybe two, but usually one.
One long one, so this is a Saturday type thing?
That
This is-
depends on who's running the meeting.
Normally,
No
it's
offense,
two.
man. That wasn't a jab.
Normally, for the ones I've been to, normally it's two, because there's usually questions that are brought up and numbers that have to be done that work through, so it's normally two. Normally it's done during the week, and normally we start like 6 o'clock or
One thing they
6:30.
do is normally, the fire department gets their numbers in ahead of time, so Patty can get them incorporated, and so does Pat. So as long as everybody gets their numbers in, and she can get that paperwork put together, you guys can go through and make your little changes. Shouldn't take more than an hour. Seriously.
Yeah.
So when is our deadline to have our budget done? I don't know these days. And I probably should, but I don't.
It has to be to the county no later than, well, it's not actually the 15th, but we like to get it there by 15th of November.
November 15th.
You have to get your workshops done so you understand it, and then we have to have a budget hearing.
After we have our budget, what was the posting date for that one?
The budget hearing, I think, is a 20-day or a 15-day.
And the budget hearing needs to be done before November 15th.
Oh, yes.
So then we should probably work backwards
Mhm.
to figure this out. So I need your
That's a
help.
month. Well, you're looking at sometime in October. When does the board want to meet to go over the budget?
Let's try October 4th. Does that work, or you guys want to screw up one week and have multiple meetings?
October 4th, the week before your board meeting?
Yeah, do it 4th, do it the 12th, do it the day after the board meeting.
would be the,
First Monday.
first one, so that means fire department and, Patty to get information to Patty by that date.
The previous week.
Okay, so by September 27th.
Is that enough time, Adam?
The first.
Pushing it.
Well, I mean, it really,
Well, our officer meeting is until the 5th of October.
Oh boy, okay, so then, do we push our meeting in?
let's do it at 12.
We can do it to the 12th. Okay,
Does
so.
that work better for you?
Yeah.
Okay. 12 work okay for you guys?
Well, that's your training night, wasn't it, Adam?
Yeah, but he just needs to get information.
Usually the chief's also present though, because
Oh, they
if
are?
we, yes, because if we go through it and have questions on
They
it.
haven't been present the last couple of years.
Well, if they give a list of what they want and you incorporate that into the budget, that's really all you do. You don't make any finalization on this anyway. So he wouldn't have to be there, just get the numbers for the clerk.
Not picking on the former chief, but he ain't been there the last couple of
We're
years.
getting you out of there then.
Okay, so October 12th?
We'll talk later.
And you're gonna be able to get information to Patty by the 12th? Oh, no, the week before, so there's still much more.
First.
We did.
Well, she can do it, he can do it this week now.
But she
Because-
needs a week, right?
Well, did you come in on, what, the 7th, was it?
The 5th would be our officer meeting, so.
Okay, can you still get numbers to Patty by the end of that week?
Yes.
But
Is
that's
that
not-
enough time for you, Patty, before we have our meeting on the 12th? Or
Sure,
would you like us to push that a night?
sure.
Okay.
What do you need, 24 hour notice?
Taking my toys.
Yeah.
Bye.
And do we only need one workshop, or do you want to schedule two?
Normally you schedule the first one and then schedule the second
Oh,
one.
so we're not gonna book place, so I have a busy calendar.
Well, if you want to schedule two, we can always cancel it if it doesn't need it, but
So, 6 o'clock at that night then?
yeah.
Here.
On the 12th.
On the 12th, yeah.
Motion to set budget workshop, October 12th, 6 p.m. at Millwood Town Hall.
Second that.
A motion is second to do the budget workshop, first one on October 12th at 6 o'clock. Any further discussion? Since there is none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against, nay. Ayes have it.
Patty, was the question back in the report with the violation found by the storage units? Has that been resolved? The violation of the storage unit area, has that been resolved? That's not. But that was that the same
Just a
issue that we were having to
notification.
begin with the fire trucks that they could turn around, or was that back in the back corner?
It's the same one with driving around it. I got a email from the county earlier this morning that it sounds like someone's gonna be rectified, he's gonna agree to that, and we have to figure out something with the two posts on the center of the buildings yet, but I think we can come to something that's agreeable. I gotta call him tomorrow. The county.
Motion to adjourn.
I second that motion.
Motion is second to adjourn the meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those against? Ayes have it, we're adjourned.
So Joe, you know that we're related?
Keep it that
You see how he said that?
Yeah, like,